Jai Shri Mataji. Surush Bhaiya is connecting again. I think he has some problem on the network. So let's wait for him.
Welcome everybody to today's session. Just let me know if you're hearing me well. You can let me know in the chat or just let me know with your mic.
Yes, it's fine.
Great. So I hope all of you are doing well. Let's see, you think more people would join or we can start? Usually it takes some minutes, or we can just start slowly, and if they join, we can add them. So we can just start with a short meditation, and later we can talk more about some issues, or we can work on some specific chakras and see what we can do for more deeper meditations. So let's just relax. We can, if we are sitting in front of the picture, we can prepare ourselves by lighting the candles. And we can raise our Kundalini together, do Bandha. I can keep my video on. So let us just keep our hands completely open on our lap. Try to feel like a kind of a detachment from all the things which might be distracting you, just by putting attention on your Kundalini. Just see if you can bring your attention from, without effort, without any hassle, just to your chakras, to your Kundalini, and see the difference, how it just starts working. You're completely prepared for it, just that you bring your attention to your Kundalini, to your subtle system. Now we can start by just cleansing our first chakra, our base chakra. We can ask Mother, that Mother Kundalini, please bless us, please purify us in this chakra, in this root chakra. Let all the pure qualities of innocence and chastity and wisdom just awaken within us. Those qualities which are our own qualities, please let those dominate in our attention. Please let them overcome all the obstacles. Now, when we put the attention on wisdom, because your Kundalini is awakened, just by asking, your attention starts moving, and all these attention is brought to this direction, and all these things are really brought into your attention. Say, Mother, please take away all the distractions within me. Please let the wisdom shine in my attention. We can say whatever is distracting me, whatever I feel angry for, or whatever I might be upset for, please erase that feeling within me and let me enjoy that feeling of innocence, that eternal quality of innocence within me. Probably we can have something which is coming in our attention. We just say that, Mother, please let me enjoy this power of innocence, which is ultimately the most important things. Whatever you feel is not going your way, or maybe something like that, just throw that away and see if you can just enjoy the innocence within yourself. And we can help this chakra by welcoming or inviting the quality of Shri Ganesh, the deity of Shri Ganesh within our chakra. We can sing the mantra, Shri Ganesha mantra. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Ganesha Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha. Can say, Shri Ganesh, you who are the eternal existing power of innocence and wisdom, please awaken within my Muladhara. Please enlighten my Muladhara. Please cleanse my Muladhara. Feel that deep connection with the root, just overwhelming everything else. Just bringing your attention back to reality in every sense of the word, in every thread, in every small piece of attention. And let just that force flourish within our subtle system. Let the whole meditation be taking nourishment from this root quality, helping our Kundalini to just shoot up, it's become so strong. Now we can put our attention on the left Swadhisthana, putting our right hand on our left lower part of the stomach on the left side. Our left Swadhisthana chakra. Giving the vibrations, those living vibrations, to our chakra. Just directing our hand towards that chakra. rotating our hand clockwise. We can just also leave our hand on the chakra. Just saying, Mother, please awaken the pure desire within me. Please let all the false desires just dissolve in that ultimate, pure, higher desire within me. And say, Mother, please awaken the pure knowledge within me. And when we work with our hands, we can also just get rid of that heat towards the Mother Earth, respectfully asking her to absorb all this heat or all the things which we get rid of. Now we can bring our attention to the right side of the same chakra, keeping our left hand, if you want, there to the right Swadhisthana, the right part of the lower abdomen. And we can say here, Mother, please take away all my thoughts. Please purify my attention. Can say, Mother, please give me a joyful attention. And we can sing the mantra here, Shri Himalaya. Om Swameva Sakshat Shri Himalaya Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha. Again, respectfully, we can just leave that when we work on the chakra towards the Mother Earth, gently. Clockwise rotating our hand in front of the right Swadhisthana. Now we put attention in the center of this chakra. We can ask our own Kundalini, Mother Kundalini, please awaken the pure creativity within me. Let all the over ambitions, all mental creativity, all imagined things disappear, and let that creativity just pour into our pure imagination, our pure actions, our pure manifestation of all creative things in our life, in every form of shape, in every step, that joyful creativity flow from us. Please take away our ego. Please enlighten our ego, so that the ego is transcended, that it's beyond, becomes the ego of God. Now we can raise our Kundalini a couple of times slowly up along our central channel, bringing our right hand along to the top of the head, just pushing our fingers upwards when we reach the sahasrara. Can leave our hand on our center heart, asking the Kundalini for that complete surrender of our heart, that complete security of being in truth, being in connection with truth, feeling the truth, being beyond imagining truth or some, just being one with truth. You can say, Mother, I am the pure spirit. You can work on the chakra as well, giving it vibrations. Say, Mother, I am the pure spirit. I am not this mind, this body, these emotions. All of these things are there, but just see, like when attention sinks deeper into the self, it just goes beyond all of this. Say, Mother, please bring my attention, my full attention to the spirit. Now we can place our hand on our forehead. And here we can say, Mother, please allow me to forgive everyone and everything, including myself. And let's do that. You can try to do that with your heart, with your full attention, without any limitations. Wherever you feel that your mind is stopping, try to go beyond that in forgiving. Say, Mother, please let me forgive everything and everyone, including myself. Now we can just rest our attention on top of our head. Bring our hand there. Put our hand on the scalpel. Just say, Mother, please strengthen my meditation, my yoga. Please strengthen my connection with reality, with the self. And just staying with our attention there, we can listen to a speech, Mataji. I hope you see the video.
Paula. Well, let me get open. Should I sit down? Get in here. It's here, there's space here. Come along. Some room there. We all are expecting something great to happen. And the happening that has to take place has been already described in all the scriptures. But somehow we are misled by other people who have a better way of We all are expecting something great to happen. And the happening that has to take place has been already described in all the scriptures. But somehow we are misled by other people who have a better way of manifesting their own style. And we get so confused because this is the time of great confusion. Without the confusion, evolution cannot take place. Unless and until people are confused, they will never try to aspire for something higher. If you see in the animal stage also, there was a confusion for the fishes to come out. And that confusion made one or two to lead the rest of them. And that's how they could crawl onto this Mother Earth with confidence. So the areas started changing gradually. That from Mother Earth, then they started looking towards the sky. And the evolution went on like this till the human beings were created. Now, all these areas are within ourselves. These are all the elements into which we had to probe into. We had to find about them. And through this evolution, we have been able to look into these, to fathom them, to find out their nature through our intelligence. So we reached this point where we could understand the elements, we could understand their use for our purpose. So far, so good. But that's not the end. That's not the end of our evolution. If it was, then there would have been no more search. There would have been no more seeking. People would have been happy, would have been satisfied. But that's not so. So there has to be something more that we have to achieve. At this time of great confusion, we have certain lampposts, we can say, or beacons to guide us. And these beacons are all the scriptures. Now these scriptures are also so much being misused and misrepresented and explained in such a funny way, and everything made into a money-making proposition, that it adds to the confusion more. So you get much more confused and confused and confused. Imagine the light that has to show your path becomes an illusion. How are you to find your path then? But this is the pastime of human beings. You can't help it. You give them everything and they can convert it into a confusion. You can see the results of these, see in our politicians, in our economists, our psychologists, all of them seem to be quite confused. And they don't know what the other person is saying, what they are saying. They cannot relate it to something absolute. So we have to find out that absolute point where this confusion drops out. At this level only you can find it out. At this level only it can be given. At this level only that will manifest. Before this, at any other stage, it is impossible. It was impossible and it is impossible. So at human stage only it is going to manifest. But human beings also must know that they have some drawbacks compared to other stages. At the animal stage, or say even earlier stages, you can say, at the element stage, elements don't have to think. They don't have any choice. They don't have to bother about anything. They just exist. They are not aware of anything. They are just existing with whatever are their qualities. Say hydrogen is hydrogen, oxygen is oxygen. They are bound by different valencies and different qualities and their chemical compounds and their physical powers by which they act, react, and exist. Then when the life started itself, at that time also, life was guided very much by nature. The evolution was very much controlled by nature. I'll give you an example of that. A gentleman who has written a very nice book. I would not give you the name because you'll immediately buy that book and start reading the whole. But he was experimenting with some and exist. Then when the life started itself, at that time also, life was guided very much by nature. The evolution was very much controlled by nature. I'll give you an example of that. A gentleman who has written a very nice book. I would not give you the name because you'll immediately buy that book and start reading the whole. But he was experimenting with some oysters, and he had them first in Los Angeles, where the sea was. And he found out that when the tide was low, these shells used to open themselves up, the oysters. And when it was high tide, they would close down because the water should not run into them. And you know that the tide time is bound everywhere. Anybody can calculate it, sitting down here, what is the tide in Falkland. So he removed those shells from there, brought them to Ohio, which is very far away, and there's no sea. And he put them down there. And they were opening at the same time. Now see, the time changes according to the moon. So the water was acting according to the moon, and these oysters were also acting according to the moon. But when the time changed, they came to Ohio, still they had that habit and they were opening. But suddenly they changed and they took to the timing which would happen if the sea was there in Ohio. So they were so much bound still by nature. Nature controls them. Up to a great point, nature even controlled human beings. But in the animal stage, one has to know that to find out the difference between an animal and a vegetable, what happened was, first, the cellular wall was doubled. So element was first put into a cell to make a vegetable. And the vegetable was given a double wall to make it a human being, animal. Now, animal that has become a human being has a triple bond. That's why it's the confusion. That we call as human freedom, that we are free to do what we like. What's wrong? Correct? I mean, if somebody wants to commit suicide, what's wrong? Somebody wants to kill his father, what's wrong? I mean, laws, according to many people, is all artificial, man-made, is correct. So what's wrong? So we were bound thrice. The third binding came when, as human beings, we started acting, creating our ego as a byproduct of that action, physical and mental. We developed ourselves into an egg. we became just like eggs. And this egg had 3 shells. First one of the human shell, second of the animal, and third that of the vegetables. And inside that were all the elements. That's how we are made. But for what? Why? Why this freedom was given to us? To get us confused? Because we had to go to a higher evolutionary state. And that higher evolutionary state has to give us why? Why this freedom was given to us? To get us confused? Because we had to go to a higher evolutionary state. And that higher evolutionary state has to give us complete freedom from all these 3 bondages. The vegetable bondage, which makes you stick to one place. The animal bondage, where you cannot think. And human bondage, where you think. Man can't live without thinking. It's a bondage. We can't get out of it. Like horns, it grows into your head. You can't stop it, you know. Even if you cut your throat, you cannot stop it, some people say. It's surprising. It's so bad. It's such a bondage in us. All the time we think. This is the third bondage of human being. But what happens with this? When this bondage is broken, light comes in. Through the light. And this light gives you enlightenment in all these 3 prisons into which you are imprisoned. And you get a complete integration into all these different bondages within you. And you start seeing the absolute truth that all this is bound by one thread. All these elements, all these vegetables, animals, human beings are bound by one thread. And when you start seeing that thread as a witness, you start seeing the play of all these elements, of all these bondages, beautifully. But there's a very great difference between the other evolution and the evolution of man at this stage. There's a very great difference, I think, which very few people realize. That before the evolution, up to human stage, you are not aware of it, and you can't do anything about it at all. Supposing a seed evolves into a better fruit, it doesn't have to do anything about it. Somebody else has to do. If you sprout a seed, then you have to look after it throughout. Sprout the seed, then take the seedlings, put them right somewhere, then let them grow into a tree, then you have to prune the tree. Whatever you have to do all the time. You have to look after the tree. But after this evolution, this jumping, this happening, when you become the self, seedlings, put them right somewhere, then let them grow into a tree, then you have to prune the tree. Whatever you have to do all the time. You have to look after the tree. But after this evolution, this jumping, this happening, when you become the self, you have to do something about it. You have to, because you become the master of your being. It is you who have to work it out. In Sahaja Yoga, there are many people who get realization. It's very easy. The confusion is so great that people want to come out of it, they get it. But again they are drawn back into it, because that time, which is so important, the intermediary time, where you have to stick on to that area, to that new dimension of collective consciousness. Your willpower doesn't act. And that is the time you require this willpower. Already you are exhausted. So many are exhausted because of seeking, because of worrying, because of thinking, wrong seeking, gurus, this, that, all kinds of exhaustions are there. Family life, married life, every sort of problem that you have faced, you are already exhausted, your willpower. And when even you get realized, you have the cup, but you have no strength left within yourself. This, that, all kinds of exhaustions are there. Family life, married life, every sort of problem that you have faced, you are already exhausted, your willpower. And when even you get realized, you have the cup, but you have no strength left within yourself to raise it to your mouth and to enjoy the nectar of your realization. More so in places which are supposed to be developed. In developing that part of your systems, you have exhausted yourself much more. I mean, it was all right up to a point. But when human beings know something, they'll go to the extreme end of everything. Now, if you know electricity, then everything must work on electricity. Your lift will work on electricity, this will work on electricity. Now computer have come, all right. Now they will make human beings into electrical electrodes. I don't know what they are going to make out of them. I mean, going to that extent. Then electricity fails, finished. Now petrol started. Petrol, use petrol as much as you like. All right, now petrol is getting exhausted. So there's a shock, future shock conditions, in a trauma we sit. In that confused state, you are in a shocked state, oh God, what's going to happen to us? But why play into the hands of these things to that extent? The countries which are not so developed, see, you can say countries which are little underdeveloped and developed. You see, where a motor car runs and a bullock cart also runs. If the motor car fails, they can use the oxes to run the motor car. We call it Oxford. So one can rely on something else. There is an alternative already available. But when you cut out all the alternatives, then how can you find out any alternatives? For example, now we've got calculators. I was amazed in the shop. They can't count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they make mistakes in somewhere, if you tell them that that's a mistake because you know how to calculate, they'll say, how can it be? Machine is not wrong, but your fingers were wrong somewhere. They have no alternatives left now. I mean, they have to depend on the electricity. They have to depend on petrol. You have to depend on all these elements. So, if you find with little detachment, you are already slaves of all these elements. Instead of becoming free birds, we have become now slaves of this. So we start finding out alternatives. Now what can alternatives we can have? We have lost all deftness to do any handwork. After some time, I think people won't be even able to clean their dishes. They will need a machine. As it is, they can't clean their clothes, I think. They can't comb their hair. What's going to happen? You will need even a machine to feed you. Going to that extent, when we go up to such a limit that we become absolute slaves, the confusion is worse. But after realization, the whole thing changes. All the priorities change, you become a different person. It's a tremendous change that comes within you. But to appreciate it, to understand it and use it, you have to stabilize yourself because you are still shaking. And it's very easy to go back to the life which you have led so far. We have had people coming from all walks of life. We had people, bureaucrats, we had people who were hippies, we had people, I mean, they must belong to some club, you know. Are you a communist or a socialist? Like when I came here, they asked me, what is your politics? I looked at them. I said, which one? They said, I mean, what politics we have? What is yours? I said, I don't know. Quite confused, you see. I was quite confused because I had no politics at all. There's only one politics for me. That is the politics of divine, of God, where he plays his tricks on all human beings. I see that every day. They don't know, but he's playing tricks on everyone, on nations, on human beings, or all organizations. He's playing tricks all the time to make you learn so many things, but you don't want to learn. That's the only politics. These politics are nothing but children's play. They are of no use. This is just you want to play with cards, you know, sit down and play. That's all to me. Otherwise, there is no politics for me. What is economics of God? That's the only economics that reigns. No other economics reigns for me. His economics is that matter doesn't give you joy. He gives you something that gives you joy, that gives you compassion, love, security, health, innocence. Above all, it gives you the power to love others. Tremendous power it is. We have never used the power of love. Never. Always we have used the power of hatred. All our politics and economics is based on hatred. We create goods to sell by seeing what weaknesses people have. Like England or America and all these Western countries, in India, the crooks found out that there are many seekers in these countries. All right, export all the crooks. They all came out of the jail and are here back. They have got Rolls Royces, they have got big, big, huge houses, they have got huge, big aeroplanes. And you can't see that. This is the economics of human beings. But God's economics is such that if you have any want, it looks after you. But it gives you a desire for the right type of wants. Because the whole system changes. The whole value system changes. A person who is a realized soul would like to have vibrations flowing all the time. Today I had taken my grandchildren to a shop to buy them a sweater. It's very difficult because they are realized souls, all of them. So I gave them a very beautiful one. I said, how do you like it? She said, no, it's very uncomfortable. It was acrylic. They just can't have it. I said, but it's quite nice and cheap. So she refused to have it. Then it was semi-acrylic, refused to have it. Then I gave her a bowl. I said, but this bowl will be only one, while you can have 10 like these if you buy acrylic. She said, better to have one which you can wear than to have 10 which you cannot wear. The whole value system changes. To have too many things becomes useless. Have one which is comfortable to your being. Somehow, they have reached even rationally through your science and to such points that Sahaja Yoga just fits into it. I sometimes feel all these things have created the beautiful ring for the diamond of Sahaja Yoga to just fit into it. For example, people are now realizing that there is no sense in creating plastic. But say about 30 years back, people would have been proud to have a sofa set made out of plastic. We had a ship from Norway, I remember about 30 years back, and they were going round to show us how they had made plastic railings for the staircases, beautiful plastic railings. And we were all very much enamored in India, you see, how they had made it. While we can make very beautiful carved ones, but we thought, oh, this is wonderful, it looks so nice, washable, you can wash it, no polishing needed, no painting needed, wonderful thing, just go ahead with it. But now the same Norwegians are asking Indians to create some things for them out of wood. So the whole value system changes as soon as you start feeling yourself, your being, because your being is absolute. It is truth and its complete beauty manifests. When you start with your willpower accepting the new challenge that is given to you. And that is the time where this built-in ego of ages stands out. Why? Why to do like this? So many things in the society that we have, whether in India or here or anywhere in the whole world, are so shocking that only after realization you realize that you have been going on with it all these lives, and your parents have been and their parents have been. It's absolutely shocking thing. But for that you have to first get your realization. That part is not so difficult, as I told you, because the time has come for many to get realization. But how many will enjoy it, you cannot say. Because Mr. Ego is the worst enemy of human beings. First of all, they cannot take it from anyone else but themselves. This is the big problem. All right, I say even take that way, but it cannot be done. Now, supposing somebody has to do it, it's not a very easy thing, It's a very difficult thing to do such a thing, and it's horribly embarrassing. You have to do something which people think they can do themselves. You can imagine how embarrassing it is. Only a mother can take such a situation, that she knows her children are like that, doesn't matter. But any other person would say, go to hell, what do I care? Why should I take the responsibility of anybody, and why should I say all these things to them? If they are so egoistical, let them go to hell. This is what is really the situation. But supposing somebody is nothing but compassion and love. Supposing, I mean, it's a supposition for many people. They can't believe it. Supposing someone is, then someone has to do it. And if someone has to do it, why be so angry about it? This I have failed to understand. Like in Spain, one gentleman got realization. And he couldn't believe that it has happened. And he came to me and argued with me in a very funny manner. He said, but why is it you had to do it? I said, you do it. That he can't do. I said, all right. Now, if you are angry for that, because it has happened in my presence, he was angry with me. He was thinking, why shouldn't he do it? I said, all right, now you can do it. But before this, you could not. So he's very angry for that also. He said, why should God make one person do it? I said, it's really horrible. I tell you, if he had given 100 people to do it, it would have been much better. I would have taken some rest myself. Because I'm already 60 years of age, and when am I going to retire? But it's not so. What can I do? Then he was still angry with me. He said, but must be something why you are doing it. I said, yes, there is. What is it? I said, love. He couldn't understand that. He couldn't understand that. So he went on with very great anger still. He said, but must be something. Then foolishly one of the Sahaja yogis, you see, brought my shoes down to put in my feet, which I never asked them. I've never asked them. I would not like it. But they like it because there are vibrations in my shoes. It's out of their self-interest they are doing it. And he said, this is the reason why you are doing all this. I said, really? It's very wise. And at that point, he left Sahaja Yoga. So there are such wise people in this world. I am talking of something very great. And the wisdom of people is so limited. The quality of wisdom is poor. They are intelligent, well educated, but quality of wisdom is very poor. But in a village, you go, you always find villagers more wise than the city people, I tell you. The reason is they live with the Mother Earth. They take all their innocence. Without innocence, you cannot have wisdom. Innocence is the basis of wisdom.